Welcome back to ICO Review. And today we're going to be covering Adbank. Why? Because they're bloody everywhere. I can't get away from these guys. Every single time I open up Facebook, boom, they're there in my face, which bodes well considering they will be a full advertising ecosystem. What's this project all about? They're an advertising platform that combines blockchain technology with artificial intelligence to reduce advertising fraud whilst cutting out the middleman of advertising, which in a sentence structure is a pretty cool proposition in my opinion. First of all, I was quite interested as to how this project came about. What was the thought that kind of sparked it off? So I reached out to the Telegram, and Angelo over there was nice enough to answer the question for me. So one of the founders, John, is a partner in a digital asset acquisition firm that owns over 6,000 websites, apparently generating high six figures a month in advertising revenue. Allegedly, he was on his way home one day riding a bike, which paints quite a nice picture, listening to a podcast on blockchain technology, which is when the aha moment struck. Knowing both the plight of advertisers and publishers all too well, he realized that there was no good reason for the middlemen of the industry to exist with the blockchain being a thing in the world. So I quite like the way in which the blockchain is helping all of these companies disrupt existing issues in their relevant industries. And I know I've spoken on that before, especially with the Acorn Collective and with Rentberry, etc. But with Adbank, it's not just disrupting the middleman and passing on that saving. It's also that they are tackling fraud in advertising as well. While I was researching this project, I came across Boxmining's interview with Kyron, the CTO of Adbank, and the link for that will be down below in the description. Really good, detailed hour-long conversation exploring removing middlemen from the equation. Kyron highlighted the fact that 48 cents on the dollar is essentially taken away as kind of a middleman tax that advertisers and publishers sacrifice for the right to display adverts or to utilize the middlemen for the right to get their adverts displayed. So you're essentially halving your dollar by utilizing the existing paradigm. So there is very clearly value in this proposition for individuals that are attempting to advertise for their business, regardless of the business size, because you're essentially doubling. If the figures provided by Kyron are correct, you're essentially doubling the leverage that your dollar is getting, that your advertising dollar is getting with the individual displaying the advert, which is a pretty big deal in terms of bang for your buck. And then it comes down to fraud as well, especially in the world of internet advertising. Now, most fraudulent activity, and this is straight from the white paper, most fraudulent activity occurs because of the standard model of website promotion and monetization. So if you consider, say, Google AdWords, for instance, where the individual hosting the ad is paid per click. If I was so inclined, I could say, create a very poor content populated website and plaster the individual page with a whole bunch of AdWords windows. I then deploy a botnet, so you can either source botnets from individuals on the internet, or, you know, if you're a savvy person, you can create one yourself and then generate a whole bunch of bot-driven artificial clicks on these ads to generate ad revenue, which by Adbank's terms is fraudulent. And it is fraudulent because it's not an individual clicking on the ad. However, it's not a true user. It's not a true individual human clicking through due to appeal of an ad. So it is rife for abuse. So What's interesting that they're doing here with creating a financial ecosystem and through utilizing artificial intelligence is that by creating a token and therefore creating an ecosystem, you've got a chain of financial data that can be followed. So this artificial intelligence will use the immutability of the blockchain ledger to follow the money trail in order to assess cash flow legitimacy. Essentially, what we've got here is artificial intelligence assessing spending patterns, assessing traffic, and assessing ad layout on specific websites. Obviously, this is a complete overgeneralization. Through the artificial intelligence's assessment of those factors, it will then be able to recognize patterns in the distribution of those different data points. If it recognizes a pattern as being potentially fraudulent, it will then generate a report for human review, and then the Adbank team will be able to do the human part of the process, check out the platform that's been pinged, and assess it for fraudulent activity and boot it from the network if necessary. In terms of the team, starting with John Gilham, he's the individual we touched on at the beginning of the video. He was an engineer at Exxon who created a digital asset firm that has 6,000 sites that generate 6 figures a month. So I think he has a little bit of experience in generating online interfaces and platforms. Moving on to Kyron, 17 years in marketing, working with companies like NASA, eBay, Groupon, and General Motors. They are some quite big and well-renowned names. And finally, Leon created a thriving 6-figure business in competitive retail, heavily involved, it seems, in the community in both social media and co-founding one of the first Ripple exchanges in Vietnam. So we've got some interesting people on this team. In terms of this being an advertising platform, the individual that really gets my attention is Kyron with his wealth of experience. And if you've seen essentially any interview or any ad for this platform, it's his face. Moving on to social, not much going on in the Reddit. Same over at YouTube. And they've got over 1,500 people on their Twitter, which is a nice start. And on their Facebook, they've got a little bit over 2,000. Considering they're going to be an advertising platform, I would like to see their following increase just out of pure principle. And finally, ICO date. The ICO is already underway, and we have until January 21st, until the end of ICO. And just in case it wasn't abundantly clear, the value proposition for the token, the token itself is the lifeblood for this advertising ecosystem. So of course, the value of the token is tied intrinsically to the demand of the limited token. Hopefully it's a single token generation event. The more advertisers that are looking to use the token, the more the token is worth. However, if you want to know any more about this ICO, I would strongly suggest joining the Telegram. They're very responsive, very interactive, or just wait for me to update you as things develop through this ICO. But that's all I have for you on this one. I have been your crypto enthusiast, and I will see you in the next video.